Okay, good morning. Thank you for joining us. This is the Washtenaw County Road Commission's virtual construction information meeting about the culvert replacement project that we have planned on Pleasant Lake Road this fall in Lodi Township. My name is Emily Kaiser and I am WCRC's communications manager. I'll be the meeting host today along with our project managers. So today we are going to go through our presentation pretty quickly. I'm going to just do some brief housekeeping items here, and then I'm going to turn it over to our engineering staff for a presentation about the project. With us today, we've got Aaron Burkholt. He is the Senior Project Manager of Design and Construction. And we also have James Hoy here. He's an engineer with WCRC and the project manager. So James is going to do the bulk of the presentation today. And let's see, just adding a few more people in here. So just from a housekeeping perspective, we've got a couple things to keep in mind. The meeting audio and video is being recorded and it will be posted to the project page on wcroads.org in the next day or two. After the presentation, you will be asked to virtually raise your hand during the Q&A portion. I will provide instruction at that time on how you can do this from either your computer or the Zoom app or your touch tone phone. The chat feature on this meeting is also available. If you have a question during the presentation, you feel free to ask that question in chat and you can, we will answer those questions during the Q&A period. And again, you can find that chat window at the bottom of your screen. So we had a few people join before we did our introductions. So with us today, I'll go backwards and then we'll go forwards again. We've got two presenters with us today. We've got Aaron, he's the Senior Project Manager here with the Road Commission. And then we have James, and James is going to do the bulk of the presentation. He is our project manager and civil engineer at the Road Commission. So we are here to talk about the Pleasant Lake Road culvert replacement project we have coming up this fall. All right, with that, James, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Emily. My name is James. I am a civil engineer at the Road Commission, and I will be the project manager for this Pleasant Lake Road culvert replacement. Next screen, please. So why now? The culvert itself that's there right now is deteriorating. Any further deterioration could lead to an inspection, which could lead to a potential closure. So we hope to replace it as soon as we can, which is why this project prompted and started. And we do plan on resurfacing the Pleasant Lake Road from Zeeb to Ann Arbor Saline later this fall. So we plan to replace the culvert before then. Next screen. So the overview, we are removing the existing culvert, replacing it with a concrete box, and then installing guardrail over the culvert and then paving the road. Next screen. So here's the location, the orange dot. This is not the culvert right in front of the Lodi Township Hall. This will be the first stream crossing, and you should see stakes out there if you drive by. Just east of Zeeb Road on Pleasant Lake. And next screen. So here's an example of a concrete box culvert. If you ever get to look at it from off the road. We use these a lot in a lot of our heavier traffic road, and it's performed very well in our previous projects. So we're sticking to this design for this job, and hopefully it'll turn out really well. Next screen. So the construction schedule, our contractor, Fonson's Company Incorporated, they will be starting to close the road on the 13th of October, which is next Tuesday. And they expect a 4-week construction time frame. So we expect them to be completed on or before middle of November. Of course, this is weather dependent. With winter coming closer, we would have to make sure everything's done before the snow comes. Next screen. Impacts the traffic. For us to replace the culvert, we do need to close that section of road completely. We do have a posted detour that would come up in the next slide. But at the time, all driveways near it, all residential areas near it will be accessible, but we will be closing the road at the culvert completely. And we have message boards out there right now indicating that we are having this public meeting today. And then after today, we would replace the message on there stating when the road closure is expected to start. Next screen. So here's the posted detour for paved roads. This would be from Parker Road to Scioto Church to Wagner. Again, this is just for the paved roads. If you are a resident and want to take a shorter detour, that is completely up to you, but this is our posted detour. And again, that is Parker Road to Scioto Church to Wagner. Next screen. So here's another quick example of what it might look like when we start. The contractor would have to start, removing the road, and then either demoing the existing culvert or just pulling out the existing culvert. Next screen. This is what our box culverts typically look like. They ship in by pieces, and the contractor will have to prepare the base of the stream and then piece by piece connect the culvert together. Next screen. And then here's a finished product. Definitely not as much water running through the culvert we're going to be replacing, but this gives you a good overview of what it should look like once we're completed. Next screen. And if you want to find out more, we do have the project on the website. My information is right here. You can always call and email me. I'll be available to answer any questions or concerns at any time that you feel might be necessary. Next screen.
And I have a couple of other items, James, if I can jump in just briefly.
Sure.
Excellent overview of the project, James. I very much appreciate that. Again, I'm Aaron Burkholtz. I'm a senior project manager here at the Road Commission. I work with James here in the construction and design unit. And he had brought up earlier on in his presentation the timing of this project. Earlier this year, earlier in 2020, the Road Commission Permits Unit had worked with Stoneco, one of the aggregate producers, further west on Pleasant Lake Road. And through an agreement with Stoneco, we were able to resurface Pleasant Lake Road from Steinbach Road all the way to Ann Arbor Saline Road. And then we extended that further. We went through the new intersection at Ann Arbor Saline Road and Wagner Road, and all the way up to Ann Arbor Saline Road and Maple Road. So again, that work was performed under an agreement with Stoneco, that resurfacing work. Part of the burden for the cost was on Stoneco, and part of the burden for that resurfacing cost was on the Road Commission. The timing was such that we coordinated internally with our operations department, who's overseeing that asphalt resurfacing work, and we investigated the culverts under Pleasant Lake Road. We wanted to make sure that we had a good understanding of those culvert conditions, so as to try to accomplish work ahead of the resurfacing. The resurfacing involves milling and repaving of the road. Again, it's not a full reconstruct, but regardless of that, we really don't want to have to come back in the relative near future and cut the road open to replace a culvert. I won't promise that, because sometimes there are smaller diameter culverts that are not identified in our current inventory. And we, as we identify those, if those are in poor condition, those smaller diameter culverts, we may have to take action to replace those. But again, for the larger culverts, such as this one on Pleasant Lake, we had previously inspected it. We inspected it again earlier this year and determined that the culvert is structurally deficient and it's functionally obsolete. So we had the need to replace it. One of the time-consuming steps in many culvert projects is acquiring a permit from the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, also known as EGLE. And EGLE was formerly the DEQ, the Department of Environmental Quality. So with this culvert replacement involving a water of the state, and this being a conveyance to the Saline River, we had to obtain a permit from EGLE. So that does take some time. We were able to successfully obtain that permit and then proceed with the ordering of the box culvert. There's also a fair amount of lead time involved in obtaining a precast concrete box culvert. There are only, to my knowledge, 2 producers left in the state of Michigan, one of them being Northern Concrete Pipe. And we placed an order with Northern, and their Bay City production facility is the one providing this box culvert for the replacement on Pleasant Lake. Again, there is lead time involved in the fabrication. Northern, to their credit, they're very busy. And so that's really why this project got pushed into the fall. A big part of that was the Eagle permit, and another component in that was the time needed to fabricate that box. The box is now complete. It's ready for delivery, and we've been able to work that out with Fonts and the contractor, the timing on the delivery of that box. The HMA paving, we delayed the HMA resurfacing of this part of Pleasant Lake Road between Zeeb and Ann Arbor Saline, knowing that we wanted to replace this culvert. Again, we did not want to have to cut the road open. So the paving is intended to come after the box culvert is replaced, weather permitting. Because asphalt, the production and the placement of asphalt is influenced by the weather, most notably rain and cold temperatures. So our hope is to complete the box culvert replacement and then come in shortly thereafter and complete the resurfacing of Pleasant Lake Road. James also mentioned the advantages of using a precast concrete box. A box is expensive, but again, with this being a haul route, and in particular being an aggregate haul route, a concrete box is a tried and true culvert replacement. It's long lasting, it's very durable, and it will carry full highway loads once we're completed. So just a little bit of additional background information that I wanted to offer. And James, thank you again for the presentation. Well done.
All right, thanks guys. So what we'll do is we will go back to our advance slides here a little bit, and we will open this up to questions and answers. So again, if you are viewing this meeting from your computer, in order to participate in the Q&A, there's a couple steps you need to follow. So you first want to make sure that you click join audio, and then you can virtually raise your hand by clicking the participants button at the bottom of your screen, and then the raise hand button at the bottom right of your screen. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch-tone phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. As the meeting host, I will unmute participants with raised hands one at a time. I will announce your username or the last 4 digits of your phone number when it's your turn to speak. We're happy to answer as many questions as possible, but please be respectful of each other's time. And if your question gets answered before you're called on, you can lower your hand by clicking the lower hand button or by dialing *9. Or you can also ask a question in the chat feature, which is available at the bottom of your screen. Is there anybody that would like to raise their hand and ask a question of our project managers here? Looks like we've got a question from Craig. Craig, go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, I do appreciate this discussion. That was very informative. I do have a few questions about this. Can you tell me how the size of the culvert was determined, the replacement culvert?
Yes. So we do have a, before we design the box or the culvert itself, we do visit the site with the state rep from EGLE. And from there we talk and we discuss and we determine the size of the culvert based on the stream width, the bank full width of the stream that's crossing through there right now. And that is where we get the span, which is the width of the culvert. And then the height itself is just based on how high the floodplain could be. So we base that off of our discussion with EGLE as well.
Is there any flooding upstream from this culvert?
As far as we are aware, we don't have any flooding observed. And with this new culvert, it should improve any situations upstream if there were flooding.
Was there any discussions with the property owners about any flooding or any other issues they might have had with the culvert?
Typically, if we don't require any right-of-way work, we don't reach out to the property owners, and there weren't any homes in the vicinity of the job. But typically, if they do come out and talk to us, we do talk to them about that, but not for this job in specific.
Aaron, you mentioned that the structure was determined to be functionally obsolete. Could you just explain a little bit about what that term means?
Yeah, essentially, a functionally obsolete structure is a structure that, due to the geometrics of the road crossing, does not satisfy current traffic needs. An example would be is a structure that is too narrow for the road that's crossing over it. And as I said, this structure is not only functionally obsolete because of the limited length of the structure, but also it's structurally deficient. The structure is not capable of carrying full highway loads any longer. The primary driver on this project was the fact that the structure is structurally deficient. It's functionally obsolete as well.
Okay, I am a little concerned about the paving in November. So is that something that you'll make decisions on based on when the culvert is replaced and then what the weather looks like? I mean, could the repaving be put off until the spring?
That could be possible, yes. And thank you, Mr. Swenson. That's a good question. We would be monitoring weather at the time the culvert is completed. As part of the culvert project, Fonson will bring in a subcontractor to do the asphalt paving in the area of the road that we cut out for the culvert replacement. So when Fonson completes their project, there will be the road will be flush again. You know, we'll have asphalt matching the existing asphalt surface. And then we would work with our operations department to review weather conditions, to talk to our asphalt paving contractor, and to see if we feel that weather conditions are supportive of pursuing the resurfacing from Zeeb Road to Ann Arbor Saline Road.
Yeah, that road is obviously not in great shape, but particularly due to it being a haul route, you know, I hate to have to go through another winter with it, but I'd rather do that than have a roadway that was paved during marginal paving opportunities. What about the utility relocation out there? Was there was some work done on that?
Yeah, so AT&T was a known utility that's out there, and we worked with them, and they have relocated their lines. So hopefully we won't have any conflicts with any utilities out on site during construction.
So there was no need to move the fiber on the south side?
So they did relocate that fiber on the south side.
Okay. Who pays for that? Is that part of the project, or is that just a cost that the utility bears?
So that is paid for by AT&T. We just ask them to be out of our way because their line is located within our right-of-way. And typically they work with us on that for all of our projects on their costs.
Okay, and I think my last question is about the relationship with Stone Co. So they did pay a portion of the paving cost. Do you have any idea approximately what percentage they paid?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Swenson. Offhand, I do not have a percentage per se. I see Matt turned on his video. Matt, do you have an idea what the share was by Stoneco versus the share by the Road Commission?
Yeah, the Road Commission entered into agreement with Stoneco. Mr. Swenson, we can certainly provide you that agreement, and it outlines all the responsibilities and costs related to that agreement for a designated haul route permit.
Yeah, so for years I've heard that the road is like bonded. I've never quite understood what that meant.
Yeah, we can talk offline. Certainly that's something I can talk with you and just give me a call. I don't want to take up this particular project meeting time.
Yeah, Mr.
Right.
Swenson, if you want to give send us a chat message with your phone number, I can convey that to Matt, who's our director of engineering, and we can be in contact with you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we do have questions. I'm going to mute you, Craig. If you have more questions, just raise your hand again. We do have another person with a raised hand, Dory. Go ahead with your question. Thanks for your patience. Oh, let's see.
Sorry, I was on mute.
That's all right. Go ahead, Dory.
Recognizing me. And Craig, thank you for asking about 4 of my questions. I would like to follow up a bit on the Stoneco, although a little more general. To me, the concrete box approach is totally overkill based on the volume of water and the width of that stream, which is barely a creek most of the time. However, I understand that you've selected this approach to the culvert because of the gravel hauler traffic on the road. Are the gravel haulers picking up a portion of the cost for this culvert replacement?
No, they are not.
And why would that be?
Our policy is we take care of the culverts on a primary road, and it has not been a practice for the hauler or the haul route agreement. And certainly, if you've got questions, if you can provide your name and number, I can talk specifics on that topic.
So the policy has been that it's the taxpayers who need to subsidize the gravel haulers for culverts.
That's not the policy, but again, I can talk to you
That's the
offline.
effect of the policy? Have I misstated it? The effect is that the taxpayers pay for a culvert that's
Commission is
way
responsible
overkill.
for that culvert, yes.
Dory, it looks like you may have muted yourself. Did you have another question? If you have any other questions, feel free to raise your hand. Is there anybody else that has a question? And you can virtually raise your hand by dialing *9 if you called into this meeting, or by clicking the participants button and then clicking the raise hand button. Or you can also ask a question in the chat. I don't see anybody with raised hands at this time. Dory and Craig, if you guys wanted more information and wanted Matt to follow up with you about the haul route and the Stoneco specific questions, if you could send us a chat with your contact information, we can contact you. Another option would be on this next slide, we've got James's contact info. If you want to give James a call or send him an email, he can get you connected with Matt, who is again our Director of Engineering. Aaron and James, it doesn't look like there's anybody else with a raised hand at this point. Would you guys like to add anything before we close up for the day?
I'm all good, thank you.
Yeah, I don't have anything further, Emily. Appreciate everybody taking the time this morning. Thank you.
Okay, thanks guys. I do have some contact information from Dory, so I'll be sure to send that over to James and to Burke. Lastly, we just want to mention, before James mentioned that we expect the closure to begin on the 13th. So ahead of that, we will issue a road advisory via email and post that to our website. We will also have some information on our social media, so we would encourage you to check that out. The project will also be included on our weekly roadwork schedule, which is posted to our website and emailed out every Thursday morning. So if you have any questions throughout this project, again, here's James' contact information, and we appreciate everybody coming out and joining us today.